Antwan Eady is the author of a new children's book called Nigel and the Moon. Antwan, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Of course. Please tell us, what is the premise of your book?
Thank you. So Nigel and the Moon, written by me, illustrated by Gracie Zhang, is a story about a young boy who's afraid to tell the world his dreams, so he tells them to the moon at night. In this story, you'll see a journey of Nigel discovering his dreams and then finding his voice.
It sounds very sweet and positive. What inspired this book?
I love this question because there are a few things that inspired it. It was inspired by me a little bit. When I was a child, every Christmas, I would ask my parents for a telescope. And what I would do with that telescope was sit on my parents' porch in South Carolina and stare at the moon. That space, that distance between the moon and myself, it offered safety. And in this book, I wanted to offer a safe space to so many of us that need it.
What would you like children to take from this story, or even their parents?
For kids, I want them to hold on to their dreams. It doesn't matter if it's the size of a dime or as large as a whale. Whatever that dream is, I want them to be able to hold on to that dream and to not let anyone take it away from them. It's one thing to have your dreams and share them with the moon at night, but it's a different thing when you're sharing your dreams to the public. But I want people to know that it's always safe to do. And that, yeah, there's a power there in taking ownership of our dreams, for sure.
Do you remember what you wanted to be when you were younger?
Oh my gosh. So the other reason why I wrote this book was because I wanted to highlight why and how it's possible for us to be many things. I wanted to be a geologist, a chemist. I wanted to be a poet. I wanted to be a chef at some point. I wanted to highlight that it's possible for us to want to be many things and to cultivate those passions along the way.
So I want to switch gears a little bit and get to know Antwan, the author.
Yeah.
What is your writing process like? Are you the type of author who likes to outline everything, or do you just wing it?
I outline for graphic novels. For picture books, I usually just wing it. Usually it's already been marinating for a year, 6 months, for a period of time before I've actually gotten the idea out. But again, I do go through a lot of drafts, so. Yeah.
So, was Nigel and the Moon the first book you submitted to be published, or have you submitted other works?
That's a great question. No, I was rejected a lot. Nigel's my 4th or 5th picture book. My initial book was rejected by 30 or so agents, but the book that landed me an agent and multiple agent offers was then rejected by every publisher. I was offered what was called a revise and resubmit, an R&R, which is like, hey, if you make these edits, then we'll consider your text. And yeah, that book still has not, I haven't taken it back on submission. But in between that process, I was writing Nigel. So I think it's, my 4th or 5th book for sure.
Okay, well, considering you've submitted, a number of them and they weren't picked up, how do you then not take that personally and be able to move on to another work?
Ooh, excellent question. So I didn't take it personal because I knew coming into this industry, coming into traditional publishing, I knew what it looked like for African Americans. I knew what it looked like for Black people. I knew what it looked like for people from marginalized communities. And I said, it doesn't matter how long it takes, I'll just keep going and going and going. And that's exactly what I did. I'd already heard whispers of rejection for a number of reasons. And I said, I'm ready for the rejections. I'm gonna eat them for breakfast. And I did. Because again, I'm one of those people, you could tell me no, or you could say oh, not right now, but I'm just gonna get better. If I don't meet those standards right now, then it just gives me the opportunity to improve. We deserve to see ourselves in these spaces. We deserve to have our books on the shelves that, where majority of people shop, be it major retailers. I wanted my book to be there for sure. I wanted my book to have its rightful place on the shelves alongside so many other great books. So I just wanted to keep going.
What advice would you give other hopeful authors that are just entering the traditional publishing industry?
I love this question too. Yeah, you're asking some great questions. My advice here is to start where you are. And what I mean by that is, for so long, I stood in my own way. I thought I needed the perfect environment where it had to be quiet and I had to have, a computer desk, or I had to have the right laptop. It wasn't until the moment of me actually getting started that I got out of my own way by just waking up one day and saying, I'm going to make this happen. That's when things started to happen for me. At the time, my laptop was one that could not hold a charge. So I had to have it plugged into an outlet wherever I went. And the second I would unplug it, my laptop would die. So I couldn't choose the perfect environment. I was kind of at the mercy, I guess, of an outlet because I could only sit in areas where there was an outlet. And all of that kind of helped me exercise my writing muscles. Once I realized, like, hey, you have to get started. I'm getting started today and I won't take any backward steps. So start where you are.
Thank you. That is some great advice. Thank you for coming out, just talking with us. It has been a pleasure.
Thank you so much for having me, Bianca. I enjoyed this.